And welcome to Hadoop Exam Learning Resources. In this session, we will be discussing string builder class and array. So string builder is different than a string class. Okay, so we'll go through the differences and we'll understand the what is the string builder and kind of thing. So let's move ahead and start of the session. So these are the topic which I'll be covering in this sessions for the string builder. Okay, so let's first start with the string builder class. So let me take an example directly so I can use it to explain you. Again, I'll replace this code. Okay. So now here I'll tell you string web name is a string class. So this isn't a string class. Let's draw the things in the memory already, and then it would be easier. Let's say this is our okay Java space with the 2G memory allocated and 6 GB for the computer, assuming my system has a 8 GB RAM. Okay, now we have first created the web name object. The object is using the new keyword, so I'll create here the object which is referred by web name, and the content of this object is Hadoop. Okay, so this holds the value Hadoop. Now next is a web name equal to web name plus exam. Okay, so we are not using string builder here, we are using string. So what would happen here is exactly like it would create a new string, correct? Web name plus exam equals to .com. So let me create a new, it will create a new object, and which is represented by web name plus I'm assigning back the value, correct? So this current object is not updated, new object would be created, and the value would be, it is referred by this web name, and this would link would be gone, and the value in this would be Hadoop exam. Now next, again in this third line, this .com is appended, so new object is created, and this is also removed, and this object is represented by this, and this contains the Hadoop exam .com in this, correct? Now if I print this web name, it would print hadoopexam.com here, because we have created different three objects, but nobody is referring to this object, and this new object would be created hadoopexam.com, and new reference would be used by the same reference. Now let's create a string builder object. Here will be create the string builder object web name 1. Okay, so let me create an object here, new. The object is referred by the web name 1. One contains the value Hadoop in this. What happens when web name 1 dot append is called? Instead of concatenate, we don't have concat method on the string builder, we have append method in the exam. So what happens here, like same object is updated in the string builder, no new object would be created. It's not visible, but that is the, because this string builder is not immutable class, a string is a immutable class, that's the reason it will create the new object each time you change the value to this object. And then .com is also appended, so this is the same object would be updated, so this would also print here Hadoop exam.com. In the second line here you can see this is printing. Now let's take an example, another example. Okay, so let me clean out this and again draw the diagram for this another object. Okay, and this is the space 2 GB. Okay, now create a string builder which contains the HAD in this, and pointed by reference name is A. Now create a B equal to A dot append OO. Correct, we are appending OO object value in the A, so this would become HDD Oh, and this would be also referred by sorry, so that would be referred by the B reference, correct? Same object is reference. So B dot append P and append exam on this using channel. So P and exam would be appended in the same object, correct? And if I print both A equal to and B equal to, both will print the same value because this is the reference. So that is the difference here. If you are using the string class, it is an immutable. So whatever, if you change to this string, it would create a new object. But if you are string builder class, if you are using it, then it would change the same object again and again because this is mm, mutable class. You can change the object on this. So similarly, most of the classes in the Java are mutable. Okay, there are many classes which are immutable, and that would be explicitly mentioned in their documentation which class is immutable and which class is uh, not it's a mutable would never be mentioned. If class is immutable, then it would be explicitly mentioned to you. Okay, so now let's move to the next example. So you can read this about this, the things which we have already discussed, the same thing is written here. Now if what is the difference between equal and equal operator? Okay, so equal operator is compare the reference or reference address value, and equals method compare the content of this. However, what should be compared, you can override this method which will take later on, but let's assume it. Equals method will generally use the content in the object. If the content in the object is same, like if one object is represented by let's say we have say A, this is string object containing Hadoop exam dot com. B is again a Hadoop exam dot com. I wanted to check if both the objects contents are same or not. So I would use A dot equals B method. So it will return me true. But if I wanted to check both references are pointing to the same object or not, so I would be using A equal to B, and definitely it is a false because both are pointing to different objects. So let's take an example here from this and copy paste this code. I will share the PDF, don't worry. So you'll get the source code as well. Okay, so now here we have a string class name. We have two object t1 is of the same class object. This welcome is from the same class object. You can create the object of the same class, and in the main method we are always doing. So let's draw the diagram. Uh, so we have first created name object which is pointing to nowhere. This is a string object. We have created t1 object named t1, and the instance of t1 is a welcome object. Okay, this t1. Another object t2 is created here. This is also again a welcome class object. Now if we assign t3 equal to t1, so we have another reference named t3 which is also pointing to the t1 where t1 is pointing, correct? This is the line. Now if I want to try t1 equal to t1, correct, it's a, would be true because address is same. If I try t1 equal to t2, t1 equal to t2, this is pointing different object, this is pointing different object, so the result would be false. If I check t1 dot equals to t2, because we have not implemented overridden this method, if you have overridden this equal method in your code, then its behavior would have changed. but we have not overridden for our new class this objects, then it would behave exactly the same like this, t1 equal to t2. That is the important point you have to remember. In a string class, equals method is Java has implemented for you because it's a Java class. Java provide this class, string class. But here, welcome class is created by us. By default, equals method is available in this class because it is an uh, okay, assuming this is by default is available, but if you have not written your own eclipse method equals method in this class, then this behave exactly the same as this operator. So if you write t1 dot equals t2 without writing this method in your class, because we don't have equals method in our where class, welcome class, so it will behave like t1 equal to t2 and the result would be false, would be printed. Remember this thing, if you have not written your own equals method, then in and you have your own class, welcome is our new class, this is not provided by the Java, this is we are writing this new class, correct? So if Java provides this class, they will take care of the equals method, and if you don't provide the equals method, then it will be using default. So let me run this code and see the result. Correct, this is again false, this is false, t1 equal to t1 equal to true. Let me write one more code, a line of the code, which your t1 equal to t3, and let's see, we are saying t3 is a pointing to the same object where t1 is pointing, so it pointing to true because we know like this t1 so t1 and t3 are pointing to the same object. Now let me right click, go to the source, generate hash code and equal method, and it cannot create an hash code method. Okay, so you cannot create a hash code method, so let me define uh, it is saying it needs some static variable of the class. If until and unless you define any variable equal to hadoop exam.com. Okay, so now let me right click, run it, go to the source, generate hash code and equal method. Now you can see here. Okay, so now you can see, let's ignore the hash code right now. However, it is important for us to understand. So Java has created this entire Eclipse has generated for this, and now in this class we have our own Eclipse method, correct? Let me run and see what this print now. Right now it is printing false. Run as Java application. Now it become true. You can see the difference. Previously it was printing false because it is by default behaving t1 equal t2. Now we have changed and we have implemented our own equals method. So if I put this something here before starting this method, we are using Eclipse generated e equals method, correct? So this line would should be printed here before this. Now you can see we are in the equals method. This method is being called and it pick up the t1 object and this put the entire logic inside this. So this logic is like comparing the content of the welcome object. Getting my point now? It is actually using this method to compare two object t1 and t2, and it sees like all the values in the welcome object of t1 as well as t2 are the same. Like here we have the name equal to Hadoop exam.com. If we have created two object here t1 and t2, but the underlying content in this object, it's like this also content Hadoop exam.com. in this object, and this is also uses Hadoop exam.com internal content. And if I call the equals method on t1 dot t equals t2, so what it's doing is exactly it is comparing the content of this two object using this entire logic. Don't worry right now about this logic, how it is implemented. So just you right click source generate equals and hash code method. Hash code is also being used by this class, but no worry right now. Okay, so that's the reason it is giving us the output as an true. That is the importance of the equals methods needs to be implemented. So that's about the equals operator and a string builder class and string mutable class. Now let's stop here, and we'll next section we will move to the arrays in Java. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like this session. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe YouTube channel, so whenever we update it you will get the update as